Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 92. I'm Evan.
I'm Jim.
We got some interesting stuff we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some cinema, some checks and balances, and some drama in the video game world.
Yeah.
How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing well. It's been a while since we've been here, so it's nice to see you.
Had a bit of an illness.
Yeah.
So that
was
kinda,
crazy.
That offset.
That popped up.
That offset everything.
Yeah, fun times.
Yeah, kind of a bummer. But back at it. We had the show last weekend.
Yeah.
That was always a lot of fun to do those.
Yeah, definitely.
So
come out and see us at the cons.
Yeah, we love seeing you guys. So I went to the grocery store today.
Oh yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
And as I'm getting out of my car, I start hearing yelling.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, what, who could be so up? We're just here to gather food as a community.
Yeah.
What's going on here? My guy is dressed in he's got the full sweatsuit on, the whole thing. He's on his scooter. He's got a backpack. Yeah, my dude's rocking. Screaming at the manager.
This wasn't the guy from the scooter from a few weeks back that you were talking about that you saw here, was it?
Just a menace to society.
Oh, my goodness.
He's just riding around like causing grief.
This friggin' guy.
Yeah, just screaming at the manager because he was like, you were following me around the store.
Oh, this poor bastard.
And I'm just the manager doesn't know what to do. He's just like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I'm a manager at a grocery store. Like, you really got to do this shit to me? And so, the manager's like, look, you just got to leave or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, I'll leave when I'm good and ready. And I'm like, I'm trying not to, like, and you know how I get, right? Like, I'm just fucking standing there, mouth agape.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
Of course. Yeah.
Are we throwing hands or what? I thought I'd run in and buy some popcorn.
Yeah, right. Why not? Take a front row seat at this event.
So he threatened to call the cops, and the guy scooted away.
Of course he did.
little anticlimactic, but very funny to watch him scoot away.
That is an enjoyable trip to the grocery store.
You know what it is? Is like, how sometimes you go out and it's just normal, right? You just have a normal day. Everybody's just doing their shit.
Yep.
Everything feels regular. Some days they're fucking out. They're just out in numbers.
Yeah.
And today was one of those days.
Today was one of those crazy days.
The drivers. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those days today, I guess. The weather's warmer.
Yeah, that's
it's getting
what
a
it
little
is.
warmer,
That's what
so
it is.
the
Spring is coming and people are getting outdoors
so we
again.
Get the fucking,
yeah.
Oh, just wild.
Crazy out there.
Last night, as I'm, taking my trash cans in, there's a guy walking up my street, I live in the residential area, blasting music.
Of course.
As he's walking, I'm like, what does he have, his own fucking theme song? What's going on here?
He wants to make sure you know who he is.
Yeah, he's got to have his theme song.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's been a weird couple days.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything?
I have.
Oh.
So, last time we got together, we talked about Wonka, and since that time, I've seen it.
Oh, what are your thoughts?
So I did like it.
Yeah, I think so, too.
It was good. It's worth the watch.
I think it has a lot of heart to it.
It does.
And that's where it wins me over.
It was enjoyable.
It's not changing who Willie is.
No, but it was definitely worth the watch.
A little long.
A little long. Some stuff could definitely be taken out, but overall, I think it was a solid movie, a definite recommendation.
What'd you think of Timothée?
I thought he did a fine job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was believable.
Sure, he could have been like a young Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
Sure.
I had no problem with that performance. Then I also caught one of the greatest movies ever made in the Cannonball Run.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
what was it, just on TV?
Yeah, which this movie is never available.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And it, for one reason or another, it happened to be on TV, happened to catch that it was coming on, so I set the DVR to record it. Because it was on late, like 11 o'clock or something one night.
Yeah,
so
it's not a primetime movie.
Right. But the movie I want to talk about is that I saw is the latest Eli Roth movie, Thanksgiving. Have you seen this one?
I have seen it.
You have seen it.
Yeah.
So What did you think of it?
I thought it was goofy.
Yeah.
Again, I went into it expecting a Roth movie.
Right.
And that's not really what it is. I think it's a campy, fun film.
So the thing is, I figured out the who and almost the why within the first half hour.
Oh, so same.
Right.
Same. There's
easy.
There's no mystery there at all.
Right. But that being said, it's like, okay, let's have it unfold, right? Let's see why all of this is, why he got to the point of what he's
doing. Who's
right.
How they're going to die.
Right. So, and to your point, you're right. Eli Roth usually tries to do, a little bit more as far as, he likes to have it a little bit more realistic, I would say.
I just think darker, like
darker.
Usually his vibes are a lot more, there's a lot more hopelessness. It's not very camp. I mean, I guess you could say,
to a degree.
I guess Hostel's campy at this point.
Yeah, and The Green Inferno has its camp moments as well.
It does.
But I wouldn't say those are overall campy movies.
There's more grit to them, and this one there's really no grit.
This one was just like,
it's
fun. It's going to be over the top.
Yeah, but you
ridiculous.
knew that at the beginning in the mall or whatever. Right. Like as soon as that started, I was like, oh, this is a fun one.
Yeah, and just again, it's not revolutionary.
No, it is a fun holiday themed horror flick.
But I thought and Eli Roth, it's been a lot of hit and miss with his movies.
Agree.
And this one, I thought, yeah, that wasn't bad.
It was refreshing.
It was. It's like he didn't take himself too seriously. It definitely led into the camp side of things a lot. Yeah, because
even the killers are like a fucking pilgrim. So like it's just so goofy.
But I thought it was. But overall,
well, I mean, you have a lot of stars in it too, right? I mean, there were some actors in that.
Yeah, I mean, It was better than I thought. I had very low expectation going in.
Yeah.
And when I left, I'm like, yes, it's predictable.
But
it was a fun little ride.
Right.
I thought it was an enjoyable little ride.
Same. And I honestly, I went into it somewhat blind. Just knowing that it was a Roth movie. That was all I knew. And, within the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, this is going to be a blast.
Yeah.
And it is fun.
It is. It is.
Like you said, there's nothing... If you're looking for anything that's going to subvert the genre, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're just in for it's not long, it's an hour and a half. If you're in for a fun romp,
right, exactly,
you'll have a good time.
Right. If you go into it with that mindset, like, hey, this is going to be fun horror,
right?
I think you'll enjoy it, or for the most part, you'll enjoy it. I mean, again.
It's not
perfect by any means.
It's not one that you're going to rewatch over and over. No, and over again.
Absolutely not.
It's a fun, popcorn film. Yep. Maybe you're sitting down with your friends or your family, and you'll have a good time.
Exactly. So that's what I caught. What about you?
Not a bad set for you.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
So, the Oscars was this last weekend or whatever. Yep. And so I don't watch because I just think the idea of it is just such a let's smell our own farts type of thing.
Exactly.
But, I always like to see who won to go, well, have I seen it? Do I want to see it? That type of thing. And this one kept coming up called Poor Things.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I saw who was in it. Emma Stone I like. Willem Dafoe I love.
Yeah.
And you have me there.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
But Ruffalo I hate.
Ruffalo I hate too. But here's the thing. He's a cunt in this movie.
Yeah.
So it works so well.
That's him to a T.
Right. He plays a cunt really good.
Right.
So it was fantastic.
Was it? I mean, I've heard, many good things about it.
Here's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of a Wes Anderson movie if his style matured.
Yeah. Okay.
It's whimsical. It's got almost a dark fairy tale aspect to it. Willem Dafoe fucking kills it.
Of course.
Even Mark Ruffalo, because he plays a douchebag, he works.
Right.
He works.
In that, yeah.
Because he's a douchebag in it. And it's just like it works so well. And it is very, it is sort of this woman coming into her own power thing, but it's not egregious or anything like that.
Right.
It's just,
I mean, she uses her sexuality and things like that.
Yeah. So she kind of, as she's developing, she doesn't have all the hang-ups of normal society, so she's able to kind of explore taboos and things like that.
Right.
But it's just such, a fun, good film. I mean, Emma Stone does a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Visually, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's on a whole nother level of vision. And I think it won costume design and a couple other things.
Yeah.
She won Best Actress, and rightly so. She did a good job. He was Willem Dafoe, though. Like, he plays basically Frankenstein in this.
Nice.
He's creating his experiments and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, there's humor, there's darkness. It's 2.5 hours, I think, so it's long.
Yeah, yeah.
But it has a very Wes Anderson kind of vibe to it. And, there are black and white scenes, and it'll cut from black and white to color and that type of thing. And overall, just a very, very good
film. It's good to hear that because, again, I don't, I really don't give a shit about who Hollywood thinks is worth anything.
Right.
And most of the time, the movies they select, I would never watch. But it's nice every once in a while where, movies that had, some cinema
just
to it.
Weird movies.
Right.
Just movies that you wouldn't typically, see, at the Oscars.
Yeah. I mean, again,
Oppenheimer's Oscar bait, though.
Right.
I mean, it's literally...
It is what it is.
Right. It's a Christopher Nolan fucking drama about the atomic bomb.
Right.
Like, of course it's going to win.
Right. But it's nice to see another thing win that is actually a movie that people like. Not just these people, congratulating themselves, what they think cinema is.
But here's the thing.
It's what, audiences
What I
think.
found so refreshing about it was it's a woman empowerment story.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, and here's the thing. They have a cunty man in it.
Right.
In Mark Ruffalo. And he's portrayed as a cunt. But all the other men aren't enemies, aren't cunts. They're just men.
Right.
They just have their own personalities and everything. And there's not an attack on the patriarchy.
Right.
It's, they're a cunty men.
Right. And they're not heroes that you're taking down and turning them into pieces of shit. They're just dudes that exist in this world that you deal with.
But the thing is, right, even though it's a woman empowerment story, it's not her becoming, the end-all, be-all, greatest thing that has ever happened to the planet. It's just her coming into her own, finding her own power, finding what works for her.
And she's not perfect.
No, she's a flawed individual.
Right. Again, I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard and what I've read about it, that's the thing. She's not a Captain Marvel. She's not a Ray Palpatine.
No, she has
her flaws.
And she has her hero's journey.
Right.
And I just think it's just so refreshing to see a woman empowerment, movie that isn't lecturing me on the patriarchy.
Right.
It's just, hey, this is a story of a woman coming into her own power, and that's it. It's not taking anybody else down. It's not, she's the greatest thing ever. She's better than the boys. It's just, to me, that's what makes it so refreshing is we want these stories.
Right.
We really do.
Sure.
I just don't want to fucking have that. Like if her whole thing was, okay, now I'm in my power and we're going to take down the men.
Yeah.
It would suck.
Because, if this was, men have this position and I'm going to come in now and take them and tear it all down and take over.
Because everything they do is wrong and they're stupid.
Right, because they're idiots and I'm 10 times better than them. Even though I've never done this before in my life, I'm automatically better.
Right.
Yeah, then of course that would be another one of these massive flops. But because it was done in this way and the patriarchy had nothing to do with it.
As it shouldn't. It's not about the patriarchy. It's about a woman coming into her own power.
Sure. And
learning about her sexuality.
Wrong with that.
Learning about, what her capabilities are and growing as an individual.
Right. And that's there is a movie that men will watch.
Because there's a hero's journey.
Right.
And I can say, okay, she started off as a blubbering idiot, and by the end of it, she was, world-wise.
Nice.
And it's just that thing where it's like, okay, because I always get so nervous talking about this shit because we're so critical of all these movies, and it's like, maybe as I've gotten older, I've just become shittier, but then I see something like this, and I'm like, oh no, I really like this. So it's not my opinion on women. It's just the shitty writing that we're getting,
right?
Where we're not getting a hero's journey, and you just want me to, love this character,
right? And that's exactly it. And that's why a movie like this, having the success it does, just throws cold water on all the men are trolls. Men are misogynistic. No, that's not the case. Your writing sucks. Your directing sucks. Your story sucks.
Here's the thing: some men are trolls. Some men are misogynistic.
Sure, there are some.
But they cover that in the movie with Mark Ruffalo's character.
Right.
And it's like, I'm good with you saying that. Yeah, there are shitty dudes out there.
Sure, of
just
course.
like there are shitty women out there. But it's not every guy.
Right. Don't make a generalization that everybody is that way. You're an alt-right if you don't like our movie. No, if you make a good movie, we'll like it. And if it has female empowerment and you do it the proper way, which this movie sounds like it did, then yes, men will support it, men will come watch it, and men will talk about how good it is. But don't sit there and friggin' do the opposite.
There wasn't, there were messages, right? Like she's just learning about how, money works and rich and poor and all that and the ways of the world and how it can be ugly and things. But I'm okay with it's not the central theme.
Sure.
Right? It's just things
that's
she
part
learns,
of the journey.
Things she learns along the way, which is I'm fine with.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
how I want my messages sprinkled in.
Sure, not beating you over the head with it, just
over and
subtly
over
talking
again.
about it throughout the course.
And so, it's sitting at like an 87 or an 88. I mean, this is pretty well liked.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm sitting here going like, this proves we want women empowerment stories, but you have
done the right way.
You have to stop treating us like we're enemies if we don't like the drivel that you're putting out.
Exactly.
I'm not a misogynist because I thought Captain Marvel was boring. It's not about her being a woman. It's about the fact that your writing sucks.
Right.
She-Hulk sucks.
Right.
Because it sucks.
Right. Those shows suck. Miss Marvel sucks because it sucks.
Right. I like her.
Sure.
But I don't like the stories you're telling.
You had horrible choices in writing and directing. You made a horrible show and or movie, and it wasn't appreciated by anybody. And then you sit there and attack the fans for not supporting it, which makes you look petty, as you are. But then a movie like this can come out, which is similar in the ideology of it, and yet it does extremely well and wins Oscars. And that's because it's in the way you write it, it's in the way you direct it, it's the story that you tell.
Right, there's a legitimate hero's journey.
Right, and if you have that, it'll be supported because everybody can get on board with that. Everybody understands. No one understands perfection from day one. Everybody can understand the hero's journey. You may not go on the same one, but everybody has gone on a type of hero's journey.
Right. So it's much easier to relate
right.
and
it's
root.
Very relatable.
And root for your main character.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And again, I like these sort of, whimsical kind of tales where they do interweave sexuality because, again, that's something that a lot of these societies consider taboo.
Sure.
Where it really shouldn't be.
Right.
And so when you're able to do that right, it can be a very enjoyable film.
Absolutely.
Before we move on, I wanted to tell you one more thing.
Sure.
So I watched a trailer.
Okay.
For a teaser trailer.
Oh.
For The Crow.
Oh, yes.
And I saw the images before I saw the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've seen the images.
Yes.
Okay. And I was trying to justify it in the fact that, okay, obviously the Brandon Lee Crow was, those elements were in the graphic novel, and they were, of the time, very 90s kind of music and styles. And I was like, okay, so if they're modernizing it, you can still tell the Crow story from a modern, this is the 2020s version.
Yeah, you're aesthetically changing it a little for the time we are in now.
But that can still work.
Sure.
Because the whole deal was they were part of that underground scene. So if you're just moving it 20 years into the future, 30 years into the future, sure, they're going to look different.
Sure.
But the story should remain the same.
Right.
That does not seem to be the case.
Right.
It seems like we're getting, organized crime.
Yeah.
Like vendetta type of shit. Like it doesn't, I don't think it's going to even, and it's a shame because I like Bill Skarsgård.
And as do I. But here again, right, the last time we talked, I made my point about I didn't like the casting of the Fantastic Four. Visually speaking, I didn't like it.
Right.
When I saw the images of the Crow, same thing.
Oh,
it's like,
same for me.
It does not look... So right out of the gate, you've put a negative impression into my mind because I'm like, that doesn't look good. Not that it doesn't look like the Crow. It doesn't look good in any aspect.
Well, my copium was just that, okay, that's kind of what the modern day sort of underground grunge scene looks like. So you're, that's why he looks like that. I think he should look like the 90s Crow.
Yeah, I mean...
But that was my justification towards it. It was just like, okay, I understand, as long as the themes are all the same, then he can look like that for it to be a modern-day retelling.
Right.
But then when you see the trailer and it's just like everything is different...
Right, and that was the problem. Because when you see him right away, no, that's not going to work.
Right.
But then, before the trailer comes out, you're like, okay... But he's a good actor.
Right. If it's a modern-day retelling with the same themes, I can get on board.
Right. But then the trailer comes out, and it's not. It is completely different from the story that we know.
Right.
And it's like, no, this isn't going to work. This is not going to... It looks terrible.
Right.
You're going to tell a totally different story.
But here's the thing. Who's it for?
It's for nobody. It's for the fact that you wanted to make a reboot.
But the problem is, right, The Crow, to me, is kind of a niche movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've always liked it.
Sure.
But I don't remember people like freaking out about The Crow, aside from the Brandon Lee tragedy, obviously. But
no,
it was never this big fucking...
No, it became more of a cult hit after the fact. But it wasn't a big hit when it came out by any means. And, it grew, and I think part of that is the tragedy of Brandon Lee. I think that people started watching it after the fact because of that, and it grew a little bit of an audience because people gave it an opportunity and realized it's a decent story.
Oh, it feels like a great comic book movie.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it just
definitely
has such a vibe to
but
it,
the thing is, it's like, okay, but that movie exists. They tried to make a bunch of different, part twos and they all failed miserably because there's no story left to tell.
The thing is, right? It's a one-off graphic novel,
right?
Like you can't. The same thing happened with Happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they tried to keep going after the Happy comic.
Yeah, season
was done.
2 was
terrible. Right?
Yeah,
and it rightfully got canceled.
Right.
But I don't know. I was really, really disappointed with the trailer, and I'm thinking to myself, at least if you stuck to the source, you would get people like me and nostalgia, heads, going like, oh, I'll see that.
Mm-hmm.
But who is this for?
No, because again, the thing is that you've got a lot of people that aren't going to know what this is,
right?
And then and then visually it looks terrible.
Right.
And a lot of people are going to be like, what is that thing on the screen? Like, what's that bowl cut type of hairdo
not
he's
even just
got?
that. I mean, like, look at it like this. You're going to have people that don't know about it that are going to come to people like us that know about it and go, hey, what do you think of this? Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And just like that, they're going to get turned off to it too. So it's just like, instead of just retelling the story, which if you could have modernized it. You could have given that stupid fucking haircut and modernized it, but told the same story, and I would have said, okay, cool. So it's just, whatever. He looks stupid, but it's a modernized retelling.
My thing is, there's no reason to redo a movie that had success. And I mean this, and again, I just said it didn't have a lot of success, but it did get a cult following.
Right.
The Crow, though, in general, is a well-received movie now.
There's not a lot you can add to it.
No. So there's no reason to redo this movie. There is no audience for that. There's no one wanting that, because anybody that wants it has the original, and they'll rewatch it because it's a decent movie.
Right. The people that want it, the people that want it would just want a truth, a faithful retelling.
Even if that, most people would say, no, I'm good. I'm good with the one we have. I don't need another one.
If you put Skarsgård up there and he had the long hair and the painted face and the trench coat and all that shit, and you got the right guy to play the villain, I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. But look at something like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right? That movie flopped miserably.
Hard.
If you want to redo a comic book movie and you say, I'm going to redo that one, I understand.
Right.
Because
Make it better.
Because that is an awesome, awesome comic by Alan Moore
comic.
That was bastardized completely in the movie.
The only Alan Moore they've been able to do right is Watchmen.
Right. But I'm just saying,
like From Hell, they got wrong.
Yeah, no, they'll most. But I get but I understand why you would want to try to redo it, because that movie has no audience whatsoever. No one likes that movie.
And it's great source material.
Right, and so you could potentially make a great movie. This movie is going to be judged against the original one, and again, I don't think that you're going to have any success with that.
But the thing is, right, is that all you're doing is making another sequel.
Right.
Right? And the sequels, none of them have ever done good.
No, they've done terribly.
None of them have ever done good because they're all judged by the original.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not telling a retelling of the original, which the trailer says you're not,
right,
we're going to look at it and judge it against the original and go, nope.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It's going to be, it's going to be another one. It's going to be Hellboy with David Harbour.
Right. Right.
This is exactly what this is going to be.
I was excited about Hellboy with David Harbour until I saw that Mila Jovovich was in it. She is poison to a movie.
Right.
She is. And as soon as I saw she was in it, I was like, okay, this is going to suck.
But the problem is, it's like,
it's not even so much her. It just, everything she's fucking in.
No, you're right. But my thing when I went into that movie was, well, the first one's really good, so you're gonna really have to win me over on this.
And but no one's Ron Perlman.
Right. So my point is, why did you even try? Because you're going against something that was so tough to defeat.
Here's the thing, too. It's not like that was a cheap fucking movie to make.
No.
You should have just bucked up, gave Guillermo the money, and let him do Hellboy 3.
Absolutely.
Which everybody wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to redo that one again and try again with another reboot there. But it's like...
Hellboy, I good luck.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where, I just think you're going to have a lot of these reboots that are going to just fail. And the original one is always going to still be beloved.
Right.
And so what's your point of doing it?
I don't know. I mean, it's just... I just wanted to cover that before we moved on. But, I was interested in The Crow. It had everything going for it.
Yeah.
And then you start to see the images, and it's like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
And then you see the trailer, and it's like, oof, this is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's like almost like they lit the city on fire,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. What else you got for me?
So, obviously we know what's going on with Disney, and Disney is, up and down, flop after flop. It doesn't matter where we're talking within Disney. It could be Lucasfilm, it could be Marvel, it could be Disney Animation, Pixar.
The only stuff that's doing good is like Fox and Searchlight.
Yeah. So, there's no secret that Disney is not just a left-leaning company, but extreme left-leaning company. I mean, and almost everybody that's in the head of their department has that same bent. And my problem is, and so, you and I, we're artists, we create things. We would, and I know you, and I know you're going to feel the same way. if I put something out or you put something out, you're going to want my honest opinion. And it might not be to, what you want to hear. I may not agree with you, but it's going to help you, because I'm going to give you constructive criticism and vice versa.
Right.
Right. If there's nobody, if I always put something in front of you and you always tell me
it's in an echo chamber.
Right. You're never going to produce product that's worth anything.
No.
And this is where we're at with Disney at the moment.
But on the other side of that, right, when I put something out, it's not my job after I release it to make my fans or my customers or the general public feel any way about it.
Sure.
That's on them. I put it out, and however you feel about it that's the beauty of the art.
And that's your right to feel that way.
But that's how you should look at it as a creative. You can't force, once it goes out to the public, it's not yours anymore.
Right. But before it goes out to the public, you should have...
When I show it to my circle...
Yeah, you should have some checks and balances to make sure that, you think you're putting out your best product, your best idea, what have you.
Right.
And, so for example, Marvel is just a dumpster fire as we speak. And again, whatever you think Kevin Feige's idea, when Ike Perlmutter was there, Ike Perlmutter is the very opposite side. He is a very extreme right wing.
Right. He was a piece of shit. But what he did was he counterbalanced.
Right.
And he pulled everything a little more center.
Right.
He was a piece of shit.
Right.
No doubt.
So it still leaned left, but it was only slightly left of center.
There was still a voice that could pull things a little bit more to the middle.
And so when he gets fired from Marvel, and when John Lasseter gets fired from Pixar, and when
but Lasseter got, you can't be fucking.
Well, that's only rumor. We have.
I know, but come on now.
Well, but I'm just saying when George Lucas's voice is no longer there,
but they or even outside of Disney, when you ignore Peter Jackson for Rings of Power,
right? So it's these things where yes, you don't have anybody to say, hey, maybe these aren't the best ideas, or you're only talking to one side of the country, and and of that one side, you may only be talking about half of that half, because there's still, even with your side, they may not enjoy what you're doing because it's shitty. And so, this is what we're getting. And this is the stuff that's getting put out because there's nobody to counteract. It's all yes men in every capacity here at Disney.
Step further, though, it's not just yes men. What you've done is you've subsequently removed all of the creatives in any decision making positions.
Right.
So when you remove creatives from decision making positions, what do we get? Live actions of animations that have been done to death.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And sure, at first you get $1 billion from Beauty and the Beast, and maybe you get $800 million from Aladdin, and $1 billion for Lion King, and then it starts dropping off because, regardless of whether you're putting your message into the films, which you are, people don't want to keep seeing this shit.
Right. But what you're also doing though is you're only hiring people that agree with everything that you say.
Right.
And
you're creating an echo chamber.
Right. So, like for instance, the woman that took over for Lasseter and Pixar, her first edict she said was it is going to be 50% women in animation in this studio.
Right.
The problem is that there wasn't 50% of women to hire. So what you did is you hired unqualified just because you set down an edict that you wanted because of your message. And then,
here's the thing. I'm all for bringing more women into the space.
If they belong in the space because they have the qualifications.
But you have to start somewhere too, right? So I'm saying, hear me out though. What I'm saying is that if you can't fill the high-level animation slots with women, then fill some lower animation slots with some women.
Sure.
Right? And that way you can still get to your 50%.
If you want to train them, if you want to eventually, you want to make them and you're training them and you're putting the best people there to do the work, and then they can learn from them.
If you do that and they have their hero's journey, then when it comes time for them to start making decisions, it's not going to be, I'm a fraud.
Right. And if they did that, fine. But unfortunately, that's not what they did.
No, clearly.
And so, things like when Strange World came out and bombed,
right.
She put a Zoom call and said, that stinks, but the message is the most important thing. We're not changing what we're doing because that is more important than anything else that we're doing. Those are the type of people that are killing your product by doing that.
Not a single Oscar.
No, and deservedly so.
Right. And I mean, if you look back 20 years,
yeah,
if they didn't win an Oscar, you'd be shocked.
Right. But I mean, think about this, right? Think about this. We were told Kang was the new big bad of the Marvel Universe.
Right.
And I've said this.
Handled incredibly poorly.
Right. And I've said this. I think Jonathan Majors sucked as Kang.
Yeah, I don't think his heart was in it at all.
He might be good in other things. I've not seen him. But as Kang, he fucking sucked. One of the worst actors I've ever seen. That being said, you didn't know that Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was going to bomb.
I don't know how you didn't know that, though. Did you fucking sit down and watch it? Because if you sat down and watched it, you would know.
Bob Iger said he sits and watches these films 4 or 5 times and then gives his creative input to Feige. That's what Iger just said the other day.
Well, so I guess, Bob, your creative input sucks. Maybe you should hire someone that actually knows what they're doing.
But let's just say, for instance, that you were still riding the Marvel wave, right? And you didn't know that Quantumania was going to suck.
Okay,
so Majors gets into his trouble, right?
Right.
And he gets fired.
Sure. Which is the right call.
Which is the right call. But here's my point. You have no... There is nothing, right? Kang was in one episode of Loki, then he was in Quantumania,
which tanked,
and then he was in one or two episodes of season 2 of Loki, which tanked.
Right.
You had no plan. You have nothing.
Right, but that's pretty apparent. Is they really didn't. I think ultimately they were kind of in a difficult place because they couldn't use the X-Men characters.
Right. I understand.
So
no, you could have.
Well, some of them you couldn't use, right?
Yeah, but you could have done the Fantastic Four.
Right.
You could have still done Avengers. You didn't have to kill off everybody.
So I think what's strange to me is you had this great outline through the Infinity War saga, and then it's just like you didn't actually plan for anything after that.
No, and that's my whole point. When and this is why I go back to saying, that Feige is no genius. Feige was along for the ride. When Feige doesn't have anybody to work with, to give inputs, push back on his ideas, he has failed epically.
Yeah, he's terrible.
But when you had an Ike Perlmutter who was trying to keep it, a little bit more balanced, and when you had Jon Favreau, and you had the Russo brothers, and you had James Gunn, and you had Joss Whedon.
See, but you had talented creatives there.
But Joss Whedon gave you he gave you the game plan to go from point A to point B. He gave you the path to go to Avengers, right? He laid it all out.
Right.
And then you had James Gunn, who you bounced all your ideas off of, to say, hey, does that fit into continuity? Does that make any sense?
But you can tell that these creatives have jumped ship and have moved on because their voices aren't there anymore.
Right. And then you have, again, with Kathleen Kennedy, you have nobody. Fuckboy Filoni is exactly what she wants. He will do everything that she wants, her bidding. We're talking about, Mando, right? And this movie.
Yeah.
And supposedly Mando season 4 is getting canceled.
Well, obviously, Pedro's done.
Right. And so he's probably not going to be in this. They're probably not going to take the helmet off. And we know what this is. This is a movie for Bo-Katan. This is a Bo-Katan movie.
Right. But the thing is that we didn't sign up for a Bo-Katan story. We signed up for a Mandalorian story.
But here's the thing. Supposedly, Favreau wrote season 4.
Yeah.
And Filoni wrote like the last couple episodes. And they're going to take the Filoni stuff and make the movie and scrap the Favreau stuff.
But the thing is, right, is that, even if they're allowed to continue doing this, right, even with all the money they've lost and all the fanfare that's kind of died out, at some point, you're going to have to go, all right, you and I have jumped ship at this point.
Right.
So it's like, go ahead, make a Mando movie. I'm not going to watch it because there's nothing you can do at this point to bring me back in. But, if me and mine are gone and nobody's showing up at that point, at what point do you go, whoops?
Right, but they won't. And that's the problem. They won't bring anybody in that's going to say, hey, those are shitty ideas.
Let me make another point real quick. So, obviously, Kathleen Kennedy's budgets are the talk of the town, right? They balloon out of control.
Crazy
300
budgets.
million, 350 million. Dune Part 2 was a $200 million movie.
Yeah.
Because everybody that was in that, and there were a lot of stars in that, wanted to make that movie.
Right.
So they did not, Timothy Chalamet, $6 million. You're not talking about a 40, 50 million salary for him.
Right.
Josh Brolin took 500,000. Like, this was artists and directors that love the source material, that want to make this movie. And what do you get? You get a true blockbuster in a time where blockbusters are the norm. You have a standout true blockbuster.
Yep.
And regardless of whether or not you like Avatar, right, you can't discredit Cameron for spitting out a blockbuster.
Right.
Because that's what it was. It was something different and special.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not the story was good, the spectacle was there. And I think with Dune, on a $200 million budget, which is almost half of what Indiana Jones cost.
Right.
You get the same feeling. You get that blockbuster feel because everyone that went into it cared about what they were making.
And that's and Marvel was like that. Obviously Star Wars was like that.
It was.
But now no one cares. And the thing is, like I said, you know what you're going to get. You're going to in this Mando movie, it is a Bo-Katan movie,
right?
And you're going to prop up Grogu because you think there's still merchandise to squeeze out of there, which there is not.
There's not. Like, no,
there
I don't
is
see,
none.
Listen, I go to conventions. I see people dressed up as Boba Fett, as Mandalorian. I see no Bo-Katans. I very rarely see Ahsoka's, which is a shame.
Nope.
I see, I'll see Vader. I saw Anakin this weekend. Like, I don't see any. I don't see any Reys.
Never.
It's just, that's the thing, is I don't see any Kylo Rens. I don't see any Finns. I don't see any.
No, and you won't.
But that's the thing. It's like, you would think that just using conventions as kind of a guide, right? What the cosplayers are dressing up as. They're not dressing up as these heroes. They're not dressing up as Indiana Jones. They're not dressing up as Ahsoka or Mandalorian. You don't see any baby Grogus. You don't see any Bo-Katans. You don't see any of that. You don't see any Sabines.
No.
You don't see any of this stuff.
No, because they're not popular. They're not what the audience wants. The failure is, it's in everything that they're doing. And yet they don't understand. They just don't get it. They just want to keep going with it.
You sit there and you say, well, this is for a modern audience. This is for, so and so and so. And, little girls are going to love Rey. But I see what little girls are dressing up as, and it's not Rey.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, come when 2018 rolled around and this whole thing started changing, right? And we started getting into this modern audience type of thing. Okay, well, we're here in 2024. We know that doesn't exist. So when I hear somebody talking about the modern audience, I'm like, are you that fucking stupid? You have years of failure where you keep on saying it's for the modern audience, and you have failure after failure after failure, and you seem to think that this mythical audience is somehow going to materialize that hasn't in the last 5 years.
Right.
And it's like you need to pivot. You need to go back and understand that the audience is not the modern audience. It's the audience.
Listen, the thing is that, if last weekend at the show I saw a couple of Reys or a couple of Bo-Katans or a couple of Sabines or a couple of, any of the, even Mandalorians, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I saw them, I would say, okay, there is clearly enough of a fan base for cosplayers to dress up as them. So obviously at this point, Jim and I have to reassess our opinions because it's clearly bleeding out into reality. So somebody likes it, but we're not seeing any of that.
And that's 3
And I'm seeing
days.
Star Wars.
That's
and I'm seeing Star Wars. I saw Vader. I saw Anakin. I saw an Obi-Wan. I saw a Chewie.
Yeah.
I saw a Leia. I did not see any of your modern. I didn't see any Ahsoka, which, and again, I like Ahsoka, so that sucks. I didn't see any Mandalorian. I saw a Boba Fett. I didn't see any Bo-Katan. I didn't see any Sabine because nobody fucking cares about them.
But this is 5 or 6 conventions that are 2 to 3 days each,
right, around the country
that are not coming in with any of those characters. So it isn't like we went to a single convention on a single day and there didn't happen to be a Rey or an Ahsoka. This is 5 conventions where they're 3 days each convention, and you're getting 0. So in the last year, there has been 0 Ahsokas, 0 Reys.
But the thing is that even at Arisia, which is the most progressive con that we go to, it's the furthest left con that we go to, and I love the fans there.
Sure.
And they dress up. I didn't see any of it.
No.
And you
won't.
But that's the thing, is that if that's your modern audience, they're not dressing up as your characters.
Right, because they're not there, because it doesn't exist. And you need to start understanding, you need to change what you're doing, or you're going to constantly have failure. And that's what, and so, going to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. I think it's going to probably do $800 million to $1 billion. I have no doubt that it's going to be successful.
Well, only because Ryan Reynolds is really pulling.
But here's the thing about it. Chapek was the one who greenlit this.
Right.
Chapek also gave Ryan Reynolds creative control, and he brought in the director from the first 2 Deadpool, to keep the continuity.
Right.
This is not just like Avatar, which is a James Cameron movie.
Right.
Disney is just the distributor.
Right.
They are just the distributor of this movie.
Well, Feige is trying to insert his bullshit into it.
And Reynolds will let a little of it to play ball, but if it's not what Reynolds wants, it ain't going to get into this movie.
But now there's stories saying that, Brie Larson was a terror on the set.
Oh, of course.
And he fired her.
Yeah. But,
and then Tatiana was asking for all this money, and then she was pissed off because he fired her too.
Yeah. But so my point is, whatever this movie does, the next movie will be nothing like this, because Bob Iger does not want this movie made. He said it. He said, this is a Chapek movie. This is not what he wants. This is not what Kevin Feige wants. So to think that this movie, regardless of what it does, it will lead to nothing.
We're not getting another Deadpool movie. This is it.
We're not going to get and even if we do,
it's not going to be a Deadpool movie.
We're not going to get Ryan Reynolds to have creative control because Iger and Feige won't give it to him this time.
It's going to be akin to Deadpool in Wolverine Origins, where he had the fucking mouth sewn out.
Right, exactly. So, again, this movie, regardless of what it does, it has no bearing going forward. We're going to go right back to the Kevin Feige Marvel movies as soon as this is done. As soon as this is over, the next thing you have up is Agatha. Who the fuck wants Agatha Harkness?
The thing is that who wants Captain Marvel and She-Hulk in a Deadpool movie?
Nobody does.
Kevin Feige does.
Right. And but Ryan Reynolds and the director certainly don't.
Well, they gave him a chance. They were like, "Hey, bring him in."
But just like the Russo brothers didn't want her in Endgame,
right?
And Feige forced it in, and you could see how forced it was because it didn't belong. It was some of the worst part of that movie.
Yeah, it just becomes a MacGuffin.
Right. So again, the only time that you have the potential of getting something good is when you have somebody that will fight against it. Like I said, when Avatar 3 comes out, James Cameron is 100% in control of that movie. Disney has zero say.
These are the movies that are making money.
Right. But they don't make Disney a lot of money because of the fact that Cameron owns it.
Right, but Deadpool will make Disney a lot of money.
Deadpool, right. But the problem is you still have $75 billion that you paid to get the rights to this. So if it does $1 billion, that's nothing compared to what you paid just to get to this one movie.
It's just very strange to me that, we have these movies come out and they do well.
Mm-hmm.
They do very, very well. And then instead of saying, okay, this is done well, let's keep going with this, we go, well, back to Marvel as usual.
Yeah, because the hubris of these people that they can't
Well, they're
accept.
saying he's canceling projects.
Yeah.
So obviously, we heard now that She-Hulk 2 is dead.
Yeah, we've heard, things like that. We've heard, today a thing came out which says it sounds like the Eternals is done.
Nobody went in for the Eternals.
Right. It sounds like there's no more Captain Marvel,
Nobody
that's
went
done.
in for the Marvels.
No. And, there was, I think, one other thing that they made mention. Oh, Ant-Man, I think they're not going to, that.
Nobody needs any more Ant-Man.
No. So it's like, those are easy things to cancel, though. I mean, those are your 3 worst movies that you've made. So, obviously you cancel those because that's just flushing money down the toilet.
Yeah, but having to reshoot the entire fucking Daredevil is flushing money down the toilet.
But again, you've just reshot Captain America 4.
Right.
You've just reshot Daredevil.
Yep.
You just had to, you're redoing Thunderbolts. You can't even get a script for Fantastic Four
or Blade.
Blade is on its 5th iteration.
Yeah, I don't think Blade will ever see the light of day, honestly.
Here again.
And it won't see the light of day because they want to make it a PG-13 film, and that's not the space that Blade lives in.
But the problem
that's why Moon Knight didn't do well.
But the problem is, what are the budgets going to be on these movies? I
think if Iger had any brains, he would look at Dune and go, okay, they did this for $200 million. It's going to make an insane amount. It made it back in the first weekend, but it's just that, okay, if I want to keep making these movies, I got to get people that are into this. Ryan Reynolds is into Deadpool.
Right, but he's only going to be into his Deadpool.
Right, but that's the point of it. Is just that, it's not, Dune isn't all this studio interference.
No, of course not.
Dune was, the Devin, whatever is, he's got the weird last name.
Yeah. Villeneuve or something.
They let him make his movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is true to the source material.
And the thing is that if your leader is inspired, everyone's going to fall into line.
Right. And but you said it best. The actors, what does it take to get this movie done in a realistic budget? Because I will take my salary based upon that. Not like it's $20 million regardless. I don't give a shit.
And here's the thing. Timothy Chalamet is one of the hottest young actors right now. You can't argue that. I mean, between Dune and Wonka, you have win after win.
He's got 3 hits in a row.
Right. So the kid is killing it. But he's not taking these bloated salaries because better to make a great movie than to make a shit movie at $350 million. And sure, maybe you get $20 million for it, but the movie sucks.
Yeah, like, again, if you're really dead set on making this Ray movie, give it $150 million budget.
Right, and explain to the actors that most of that is going towards special effects.
Yeah, and it's like, look, we're going to make 150. This is the budget, 150 million. We have to make everything work within that.
Right, but that's the difference. Is that with Dune, they said this is the budget. We have to make it work within this budget. And if the actors want to make this movie and they're on board with what we're doing, we'll make it work. And what Disney does is, well, all right, you need a little bit more money, we'll add a little bit more to the budget. And then the next thing you know, you're at $350 million before marketing.
Right, but then it's like, yeah, because the problem is they make these movies, they go to the test screening, and the horrific results that they get from test screenings make them have to rewrite the script, bring in other directors, bring in other writers, days and days upon reshoots.
What's crazy is the people you're bringing in for fucking test screenings are already biased towards the movie.
Right.
Right? And for them to hate it.
Yeah, that's how bad.
That's how bad you are right now.
Again, you heard in the test screenings how bad The Marvels was, and you released it anyway, and it performed exactly like you were told it was going to perform.
But the thing is, right, is that everyone I talk to now, and I talk to, look, like it or not, I talk to a lot of people.
Sure.
Because we go to the conventions, we talk to the fans.
It's what we have to do. It's our job.
And I don't think anyone at this point is excited for any Marvel properties.
No one is excited for anything other than Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right.
People are excited for that.
I hear that. People are excited for Deadpool. Nothing else.
No.
Nothing else people are getting hyped for.
No. Anything you talk about after that, and even if there's a slight interest, it's like, if you mention Daredevil, be like, maybe, because I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Do you know what always comes up when I mention Daredevil? Man, the Netflix show was good.
Right. That's what you hear. If it's like the Netflix show, cool. Then I'll be interested. If it's like he was in She-Hulk, fuck no. I'm out. I don't want anything to do with that.
That's the thing, is that this isn't, I know we have these opinions, but these we test these against, people that are fans of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the conventions we go to are Comic Cons.
Right. I mean, again, we're going to Comic Cons, talking to comic book fans. We're on social media where we talk to comic book fans. This isn't just our opinion. This isn't two guys sitting in a basement just formulating their own opinions without anybody else.
Right. Catalyst is a business. Like, it's a functioning business. So we are going places and meeting people.
Yeah.
It's not like you said, it's not like we're just in the basement, going online and reading the forums.
Right. And we also go to the comic book stores and talk to comic book customers. But that's the thing, is that
this isn't us sitting in our basement going on Reddit and reading the forums and making our opinions on that. This is us going to these conventions, meeting people that care enough to dress up, and then going, hey, what'd you think of this? Ugh.
Yeah, and no one has any hope or faith in anything that's coming up because of all the shit that's been put out these last 5 years. And yeah, there's every once in a while going to be an outlier like a Deadpool and Wolverine that might get the juices flowing a little bit. But after that, everybody was juiced for Dune because they knew what was coming. But there's not a single person that's interested in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
No.
There's not a single person that's interested in The Witcher season 4.
Yeah, The Witcher. It's crazy that we're doing Witcher season 4.
But, Rings of Power season 2. There are not people, and I don't mean there's nobody at all, but I'm saying that the very small amount.
Right. I think the thing about, especially Rings of Power, right, is they have a small fan base, I would say. And the thing is that I've tried to watch it. I don't like it.
No one likes it, really,
for
the most part.
There are fans that like it.
Yeah, but, I mean, if you look at the ratings, it is a very small
I guess
fan
my
base.
point to it is, right, I didn't like season 1. I didn't like it.
Right.
And so when you tell me you're doubling down on season 2, that's cool. You do you. But, like, I didn't feel good at the end of season 1. So, like, when maybe if you said, yeah, we're going to make some changes on season 2, I'll give it another shot because it's Lord of the Rings. But when you tell me you're doubling down on it, it's like, all right, do you, but I'm good.
Well, I mean, again, X-Men 97 is about to come out.
They already fired.
They fired the showrunner.
That's bizarre.
Which, who knows what he did.
I know, but that makes you wonder, right? Because he got fired from Witcher. And now he's gotten fired from this. Right. So it's like, what are you fucking doing?
Right. But the thing is, the first thing you said, the first two things you said was, I'm going to tell a story through my eyes of a gay black man.
That's not the first two things he said. The first thing he said was, I'm not hiring anybody unless they're X-Men fans. Like, he fucking catfished
That's what right. And then he said, after that, I'm going to make it for a modern audience. That was the next thing.
That was the flip.
Again.
Yeah, but I wonder, here's what I wonder. I wonder if he went in, right, wanting to just do a continuation of the 97 X-Men and have it just be more of the same, right? And then Disney got their hooks in them and made them swap it around. And then the finished product made him sick. And he probably said, this is fucking terrible. And then they fired him.
It could be.
Because he did that with The Witcher.
Yeah, we're going to find, again, we'll find
the 20th, right? 6 days away?
We're going to find out why, the stories will come out as to why he got fired, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, we'll be able to watch
But the thing is, let's see what, but if it comes out and it's more of the same of Disney, then it's going to flop and everybody's going to say, no, this isn't what I wanted.
But here's the thing. That would be bizarre to me because X-Men 97 is such a niche property. Like, the only people that are going to want to watch that are people that watched X-Men 97.
Right.
So if you change it, it's not like a new audience is going to be like, oh, yeah, I really want to watch this fucking cartoon from the 90s.
Right. And it's supposed to pick up right where it left off. Right. So if you don't know where it left off and you don't know the 2 seasons prior, then...
Right, but that's the thing is, like, it's so catered. Like, the audience is X-Men 97 fans.
Right.
There's no one else it's made for.
No, that's it.
So if you are making it for a modern audience and, it's designed to be for X-Men 97, those two things clash.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, we'll see. It's going to come out and we'll see how it performs here very shortly. But the thing is, it's just one of those things where there's nobody that's looking forward to it, though. Everybody's like, right? I don't know.
Is we have these outliers. We have Poor Things comes out, right? And that's telling a woman empowerment story, which is Disney's big message. And we like that because it actually has realistic heroes' journeys. Dune comes out, right? And the only bad things I've heard about Dune are coming from fucking idiots who are like, oh, it's a white savior movie. And it's just like, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah.
It's absolutely not a white like, the whole point of the fucking movie is the Bene Gesserits are bad. Paul's not the savior. They're lying to everybody. He doesn't want to be the savior. They're all villains.
Right.
So for you to get white savior out of that, you're a fucking moron.
But that's people. But I guarantee that's people that haven't even seen the movie.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, that's the only negative shit I've heard about Dune. And so, we have. It's not an indie film, obviously. Poor Things. Some money went into that. But we have a lower budget film that's done incredibly well. That's a woman-centric, woman empowerment movie, and we have a typical blockbuster that's doing very well because the actors and creators care about the source.
Right. Again, the key, they care about the source, and they're true to the source.
I think where we're at is we have a morally bankrupt company that likes to pretend that they are the moral authority in Disney, running into a wall over and over and over again because they are so drained of creativity that, you're just in a room of fart sniffers.
But at some point, though, I mean, again, I'm not. I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. I am not a fan of Iger at all.
No, but Iger's only claim to fame is that he was able to pick up Marvel.
Yeah, but point being is he has to be smart enough to at least have people around him, or should be smart enough to have people around him that could say, you know, hey, this isn't working. Like,
well, right.
This is flop after flop. Billions of dollars.
How many
lost.
holes in the ship can there be before you go, oh, we might be sinking?
Yeah, like no one there can get this guy. I mean, I know his ego is astronomical. That's been well documented. He thinks he's the greatest thing ever.
Right, but
and that he's the smartest guy in any room he's in.
Your company is sinking.
But the financials are the financials.
Right, you can fire all the low-level people you want to make your bonus, but that's not going to change where the company is sitting.
Right. You know, that's the thing. Like you can what you did was you showed something for just a spot in time. There's no longevity to that. No, everybody can see through the bullshit that's not going to help going forward. That only helped right then and there when you did it, and we're not. And 5 seconds later, you're back into the same mess that you were in.
And look, here's the thing: you're always going to have those, Disney crazies that bleed Disney, right? That go to the parks every year, and that everything they put out is going to be magical. So I'm not saying you're going to lose them.
No.
But you're going to lose casual audience members.
Yeah.
You've lost me.
Sure.
Right? And anyone in my circle is gone too. Because, again, when it comes down to it, if we want to hang out and watch a superhero movie, maybe the Batman, you know, or Joker or something like that, but we're not watching, the Marvels.
No.
Because it's not exciting.
No. And you'd think it's though at some point.
But because at the end of the day, right, like Little Mermaid and all that shit, does it really matter to someone like me? No. I'm not seeing it either way.
Right.
Right? Whether it's good,
agreed.
Whether it's faithful or not faithful.
Yeah, I'm not watching those either.
I don't care about that.
No.
I only comment on them from a business perspective, right? Is if they fail because of the changes they made, you're losing money.
But the thing is...
But the superhero stuff and the Star Wars stuff and all that kind of shit, that is geared more towards, me and mine.
Right, but the thing is, we were kids, and these Disney movies mattered once.
Sure.
And I'm not saying like the Little Mermaid, based upon, but like Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. These movies, were there. Now, obviously, they're well before our time, but we still grew up on watching those. Our parents made us watch them.
Is that because I've had people kind of grief me about, oh, we don't know why you talk about like Little Mermaid and Peter Pan and all that shit. And the thing is, right, I could truly give a fuck, but the company that's making this shit also owns all the stuff that I love. So if they start making bad Disney movies and lose money as a result, now you're putting the shit that I love in jeopardy. So I'm looking at it as a whole as opposed to, oh, well, it's Marvel and Star Wars versus Disney. No, they own all of it.
Right.
So if the company buckles, all of it goes away.
But see, here's, as much as like The Little Mermaid and those things I'm not going to watch them.
Right.
They're not for me.
Right.
I want them to succeed because they're for somebody. Kids grow, there's generations that need to grow up on these movies.
Right. So part of it is I want them to succeed because they're timeless tales.
Right.
Right. But the other, the more pragmatic side of me goes, these need to succeed so that Disney's not hemorrhaging money so I can get more superheroes and Star Wars shit that I like. But when the business as a whole has a cancer in it, it spreads everywhere.
Right, and it has spread everywhere. Every single department in Disney is failing epically.
Yeah, we're not seeing hits.
No. And so again,
but that's really why we talk about, we try to encompass the entire giant. It's not just Disney versus Marvel versus Star Wars. And you can argue that Fox and Searchlight and everything are under their banner too, but they're more hands-off with that.
Right. But the thing is, and we've said this before, we'll say it again, we are fans of Disney. We want Disney to succeed. We are saying this not because we take any pleasure in watching them crumble.
No, it's terrible to see something that's creative fodder.
But we want to see, but what we want to do is voice our, what we don't like. And as fans, we're trying to tell you this doesn't work. This is what you should be doing because we want your success. And yet you turn around and say,
misogynist, racist.
We don't want you as fans. Get the fuck out. You're not who we're catering to, so your opinions don't matter to us. And then it's like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but whose opinions do matter? Because you keep on saying and your echo chamber says these are the voices you should be listening to, but then when you have a 2 years straight of massive failure,
we're deeper than 2 years.
Well, I'm just even more so, but it's like, well, at what point do you really take a step back and look at yourself in the mirror and say, we got
to make some changes.
We got to make some changes here because this isn't working.
All right, let's put this one to bed.
Absolutely.
Jim, as always, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, for sure.
What do we got going on?
Just drawing away, getting the artwork out, dropping new pieces of art on the social medias every single week, working hard on comics, comic strips, you name it. We're creating. We're going to continue to keep on creating here to get out product to you people.
All right, guys. So that's episode 92 of The Corner. You know where we're at. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is the Etsy store. I sent some coasters to MKCast, so they did an unboxing on their podcast of that. So if you guys want to check that out, pretty cool. Good guys.
Yep.
We're going to be at Free Comic Book Day in Manchester, New Hampshire, hosted by Double Midnight in May the 4th, actually.
May the 4th.
So pretty good day for that.
Yes.
In June, we're going to be at Fan Expo. July, we're going to be at Monster Expo in Nashua. Fan Expo's in Boston. August, we're going to be at Wicked Con in Boston. And September, we'll be at Granite Con. But hit us up. Let us know. I mean, what do you guys think? Have you seen Wonka? Have you seen Thanksgiving? Have you seen Cannibal? If you haven't, watch it. You miss
If
out.
you can find it.
If you can find it. It's one of the. It's like Dogma.
It's a rarity, yeah.
Did you see Poor Things? What are your thoughts on where we're at with everything? Do you think The Crow's going to be a hit? Do you even know what The Crow is? How do you feel about Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds having to really pull his weight? What do you think about sort of these ballooning budgets and crazy stories that Disney is telling? Let us know in the comments. All right, crew. We'll catch you on the next one.